Hello and welcome to the third masterclass. I'm Bakka Cosplay. I'm showing you in this masterclass how to style synthetic wigs in the most durable way so they last every convention and every shooting you want to attend to. Just two things that you need to master, let's say. The heating of the fibers in combination with the teasing. And the teasing is even more important than the heating. So these two elements are the core and everything is based on that. Do not ask what products I use because the products do not change much. It's like 10% of it make a styling nice by adding products. You need to learn techniques to get better in wig styling. You cannot just buy a product and then it magically happens. So yeah, let's get into it and I hope you will learn a lot. If you have more questions, just go on Instagram. I have many streams about wig making, many stories to learn additionally information. My homepage, there are more creations there. And on this homepage is also a shop if you want to support me at the same time. So yeah, okay, let's start. Enjoy. The main tool you will need is this tiny brush. This is why I have a few of them. They're not expensive at all. This brush is more ergonomic and more comfortable in your hand. It's rounder here. And remember that it's very physical to tease or back comb as well, and even more if you have to do a whole wig. You will want to work with a heat gun. I chose one from Steinl, which is Steinl in American or in English. And with this tip in the front that you can remove, please with gloves if it's still hot. Be careful where it has a slit on the side so you don't heat up things you don't want to heat up or even you burn yourself. It has 3 different levels here and you can also change the heat in this case. So this is the air and the heat and this is the heat. So these two are literally the thing that will make your styling and a little bit of hairspray and stuff. But these are the main things you need to learn to use properly. Then there are secondary materials like wig heads, pins and hairsprays that will help you, of course, to make your wig stylings. But if you have the main base to train, if you want, you can use even a pillow to put your wig on if you really want to. It won't fit, but you could. So get a brush like these. If you can't find them, just get them in my shop. I will put them in my store. And the hairsprays and gels, etc., you can get them in any grocery store and drugstore. Another method to heat up your fibers are steamers. Usually you use them to remove the folds and the creases in clothing. But the good thing is that with the humidity, the heat spreads more evenly and your fibers won't heat up as much and might curl and break or melt. It's always useful to have different kind of needles. So I have the shorter ones, the longer ones, very longer ones when I'm doing hardcore teasing on a complete head because these keep your wig in place. Then I have longer ones that are a little bit more fragile, but you can go through the fibers better with these. And then there are super long ones. Talking about brushes, you can use them. You must be careful because some of them have these lines here and the fibers might get caught up here. And you pull on them and then you break the fibers. So be careful if you get brushes that they are not too low quality. At least it won't be as crucial to have a good quality brush than a good quality comb. Because comb, when they are cheap, they are badly done. You rip the fibers even more. That counts also with real hair. These are quite risky to use with long hair because you will maybe take an hour to take this out of your wig when you untangle it. These are useful to brush out your hair, especially in the neck. So these are useful to just combing longer hair. Personally, I'm a big fan of tangle teases. You get cheap ones or you get the original ones. Suffered a lot and the heat that shapes my wig will also eventually shape my tangle teaser. Tangle teasers are amazing because you cannot really break the fibers of a wig because it's very, very flexible here. They're very, very great to take on a convention with you. I have this for many years and I used it a lot doing long hair stylings. I added a magnet so I can put it down quickly in my workspace. and sanded it down, because when you have hairspray or even silicone spray on your fingers, it might slip away all the time. Talking about combs when you have to tease, they are useful, but not for complete teasing. Do not inflict yourself to the pain of trying to tease a complete wig with the comb. So do this when you want to tease tiny, tiny parts, just at the roots or just the tips. This is really just for exceptional work, or when you have a wig cap and you want to pull the hair underneath into the wig cap. So these are useful for that. There are many reasons to tease a wig. The main reason is how durable you want a wig to be. This is the power bank. You can literally destroy wigs that are teased, but the teasing alone makes a wig bouncy and durable. The only thing that makes the difference when you add a product, the tiny hairs here around, but the durability stays thanks to the teasing or the backcombing, depending what term you want to use. You want a wig to hold for years. So this wig, I was doing parties and shootings, and I was throwing the wig around all the time. I was doing after-show parties, so you can imagine, since 2016, the wig did not move much at all. The second reason is volume. So as you have seen here, we want to have more mass with the same weight. So for example, with this bun, it is the same hair, the same amount of hair as this one. So the more you texture your fibers, the more they will push each other and create more volume and not get heavier. So avoid adding wefts when you don't have to. The volume also helps you to hide areas in the wig that you don't like. Additionally, or you can create a realistic texture. For example, these two are both synthetic fibers. This one is a silky wig and this one is a classic wig by Ada, and I texturize it differently. I do a root teasing only because I only want to have some volume, and then the hair will be cut off. To do the transition, I do a little bit of teasing to do the connection. Then see, you already have this carpet going on, and I did not do much. You want to smoothen out because I teased just from the inside. And then when this is the general shape of the wig, see how it's holding itself because I teased it. So don't go too far in to destroy the tease. And this hair here, you can still tease a tiny bit from the inside because we only want to have some volume. I teased this part and not this part. And here it's empty inside because I didn't tease here, see? So what you want to do is totally go for it here, because we want this part to be teased, because he has a huge hair in the back and we want to have this hair. Similar to my Sasuke wig I made, here I'm going to the tips, not only on the roots. See how floofy it is here and how gappy it is here. The point is that we don't want to see the wefts in between, so you have to fill up at least the roots to not see the wefts in between here. It seems random, but actually I'm searching not only for the gaps, but also how the hair would fall if I move it around. So as you can see, there's a lot of volume now, and the tips are still very floppy because I did not tease the tips. The main reason why people use teasing in cosplay is to make spikes. So I'm going to show you how to make spikes. Teasing gives you durability and stability. You can see the difference between I did not really floof this out here, but a bit, and this one has completely been teased. So this is the difference of texture afterwards. So sometimes you want to cut off hair before and or after spiking. It depends where you are at the styling and how much hair you have and how much confidence you have about having enough hair for the length of your spikes. Let's say that I'm gonna take this off because this is the smooth surface that we want to keep. So the only thing I would maybe do is do a tiny bit of this on the inside, so the hair grabs itself to itself. This is the last layer we want to apply. You can add some hairspray and heat seal it. Let it cool down. It is so important to let your hair cool down. and actually blowing through the fibers helps a lot to take away the heat. Now it's cold, now you can bend it down, or else if you do it before, you will have a crease. So now we want to have this spiky stuff going on here. So don't go through with your brush like this. You want to have a little wiggly line and a little bit round line to have a very natural transition to the other spikes. Tease the base because the base is important, but on this case we are on the side, so I try to be working very flat to the skin and work back, so you can have a direction in which you tease, so you can work freely. So this spike we want to go back, so I tease like this. Some hairspray, not too much, it's still just the inside. Heat set it again and blow dry the hairspray. I want the flat side, so I keep it flat here, but then I go up here. And then you can still go over it, connecting it a little bit. Don't forget also to do the back part as well. Of course, you can choose also to tease the top part, but the thing I hear all the time is like, oh, how do I smoothen up my spikes? So I fixate the flyaways on top. The spike is fixated because you tease the insides. You don't fixate a spike with hairspray on top. This is just an example to make a smooth spike that is quite wobbly. But itself, it holds its shape. So the more you tease, because I tease just, this section and the rest is not really teased, the more you concentrate your teasing on an area that you want to be fixated. You tease where you want to have more volume. For example, I was not satisfied about the shape here. I want to have this flatter and this higher. So what I do is I have to lift this part up so it falls better. So what I want to do, I want to have this higher. So tease here, and then it's getting up. The good thing about this is that we are working with synthetic hair, so you can do whatever you want. Just, let it cool down properly. This is what most people ask me, how. If you have these tiny flyaways all the time here, you have to smoothen them one by one. It takes time. That's why I didn't do this for my own Kakashi. It takes time to heat and spray and then cool down and hold, and it takes so much time. Another technique to make a spike is using a creping iron. It is the same technique but different because we still have the heat and the texturing. So instead of teasing and heating, you use a creping iron. I never use this except for this masterclass here. Be careful that you do not melt your fibers, because then it's too late. Test the heat first and also read the recommendation of the wig's seller before doing anything first. 3 or 4 tiny hairs on which I can test that, and also to see how quick it is heating up. I was never a fan to see this very geometrical texture on hair, and you can only work one strand at the time. I would not use a creping iron for the complete head, but I wanted to show that this technique exists. This is nice for maybe the last layer. When you use this, the texture is linear, because it's staying in one label. When you tease, of course, the tease goes everywhere. But the tease is more natural, so you can decide what technique you use for what area and when you want to use what. Not much, but see, this is a little bit fluffier, and this is still very straight and silky. You can heat up your hair while it's warm. Tease it in. The teasing is still, for me, the best solution, and you're quicker, it's more natural, more effective. You can work different layers with different intensities. You can go only on the roots. So go in. It is important what you do with the other hand. You want to help the spike to find its way. Fixate the base of the spike. It's good to have a black background to see the flyaways. The shape is mainly fixated. So we still have this unteased hair in the front that we still do not want to tease too much. This is the hair we want to cover it with. If the hair is too smooth, you can add beforehand a little bit of hairspray. and then you can lay it on top. Transition a little bit with hairspray. So this is just one example of a wig styling. I would go in with shadings because with light wigs I always recommend that to my clients and it makes a huge difference. This is why I'm a big fan since, like, I don't know, 2015, 16, something. It makes the wig really pop out and muggles really think that Junkrat was my own hair, which is interesting. Talking about shadings, I'm a huge fan of it because it really makes the wig live and three-dimensional. Here another example for shadings. You can even change the colors. Here I added some reds, for example, to fit the cyberpunk theme. Now I want to show you how to cut hair. You don't need to buy expensive shears or scissors because they will only meet plastic all the time. Expensive shears are more comfortable and lighter and ergonomic. First, see if you really need to do this investment. So let's say that you want this spike to be shorter. The main thing that you need to know when you cut synthetic hair is do never cut straight, because you will have this. Go diagonal with a movement while closing the scissors. You don't go scissoring like this. You can as well just cut straight when you do that. So please always do a very straight movement in tiny steps, in tiny layers like this. So what I do is doing this. This is slicing. See, and then you have this feathering here. Of course, if you don't feel comfortable going like this, you can do like this or like this. But if you do it diagonally to the hair, you might get stuck inside the screws. Even if you have to cut a lot, even if you had to cut hair, always do the very organic movement. So you want to have not too much hair and go in like this. See, and then you have a very feathery finish. Of course, what you can do is do this, but still this might be a little bit too harsh, because when you do this, you have a lot of pressure on it and you might cut many at once. But you have to do very big movements. And please, when you do not cut, always put your fingers out of the loop. And then you can do things and you can move your hands freely, unless please do not stab yourself. Don't die. When the character has straight bangs, for example, or straight haircut, so what you can do is pointing. The more you turn your scissors, the more it will be harsh. And the more you are pointing into it like this, the more it will be feathered out and natural. You, for example, have this spiky that is way too long here. So you want to either do this or do this. Very gently go in, very gently, and then you can fixate it. So cutting and styling always goes hand in hand. One cannot survive without the other. If you have more questions about wig styling, I still have all the Instagram streams about this and more. And on my homepage, you have more creations and also my shop if you want to support me. And I hope you learned a lot. Good luck and see you next time.